Poetry News is here again, whether you're called Priyanka or Sven. Doesn't matter if you're human or Ren, you're welcome in the Poetry Den with me, Squigs, Eddie, and Arsene. How's it going, everyone? You feeling good?
I love it.
Coffee.
That was amazing. Oh man, I really need to up my intro game.
Well, thank you for your kind words on the poem that took all of 5 minutes. I think a rhyming dictionary just fell onto the page. But yeah, thank you. You're very kind. Before we start, we would also like to say a special welcome to our viewers in India and Brazil, who, according to our analytics, are our biggest fans. So obrigado and dhanyavad for watching, and apologies for the pronunciation. We have lots coming up on the show for you this week. First, though, poetry and settled status for all. This is a new poetry anthology produced by Civic Leicester in the UK by Ambrose Musiyiwa. The book is described as highlighting inequalities that exist in most countries and how these are affecting disadvantaged groups, among them people with precarious immigration status and those who are undocumented. Around the world, campaigners are asking governments to give settled status, indefinite leave to remain, and humane pathways to citizenship to all in their jurisdictions who need such status. The book responds to these calls and presents 114 poems from 97 writers around the world. It's 201 pages long, costs £9.99, and was released in January 2022. It's also supported by a free $99 online event taking place on the 17th of February, and links to both are below. I would like to ask Squigs, Eddie, and Arsene, what do you think about a compilation like this and the idea of campaigning for things like settled status and removing precarious immigration situations?
My take of this, first of all, it's very important because when people talk about immigration or immigrants, we, like what I just said, we refer to immigrants as a collective, as a group, as a large number of. We forget that these are people, each person with their story, each person with their goal, with their purpose, etc. So I believe when such an anthology is brought to life, these people are humanized, because we forget that these are people. We forget that each person has their story. So this is very important to keep this idea in mind, that people seeking immigration or people immigrating are people, are humans. They each have their stories. And using this anthology of poetry will bring these stories to life and will let people know that every person who immigrates from one place to another is a human with a story, with something to share. So brilliant anthology, I would say.
I have to agree. As a child of immigrants, I just think that immigrants themselves have such powers within them. They're powerful human beings that their legacies should be written down, because that in itself is their lessons. And what is poetry without giving us legacy and lesson, right? I tend to agree, because as a child of immigrants, I really believe that immigrants don't get the tribute and legacy tip of the hat that they deserve. So I really, really appreciate this anthology just in general, because it empowers and allows people to see what immigrants are really about, but also personally because I know what my parents have been through and what they have, the struggles and the way they have risen above difficulties is poetry in itself. So I'm glad that this exists.
Yeah, this is a great idea, and a project didn't necessarily blur the lines of borders that don't exist. I mean, come on, aliens are looking down at us and being like, they're just a bunch of humans moving from one part of the mass to another. I mean, what's the difficulty? Essentially, we're all living on the same planet. It's the same. We're in a contained system, and these borders that we imagine provide, I guess, the unfortunately timeless argument of bringing immigrants into a country and having resources allocated towards that versus the current citizens, which is in the grand scheme of things, the problem anywhere in the world affects us. And when we realize this, there are no borders, and like aliens are looking down at us and they're not seeing these borders, and We got to up our game. These timeless arguments are tired arguments. Let's all be humans together. Was it Gandhi that said, injustice somewhere threatens justice everywhere? So when walls go up somewhere, we should open a door here where we are. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's so true, isn't it? And you think of just how much borders have changed. I mean, obviously, I'm obviously based in the UK, in Europe, and if you look at just in my lifetime, just how the borders of Europe have just been redrawn and redrawn and redrawn, and what a border redraws, so you're now part of another country. So what now you can't go there because of whatever, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And it's kind of, you never hear people having a go at migratory birds for flying over borders and things like that. People are people, and we gotta give people a chance and give people support. So absolutely, really appreciate everyone's comments on that. So yeah, check out the anthology if you can, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, we've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty, Eddie & Co. Today's workshop is called Free Yourself from the Chains of Post-Lockdown Apathy and Write Some Poems, and it takes place on Sunday, February 20th at 7 p.m. GMT. And here's what this workshop is about. Lockdown and post-lockdown have been weighing heavily on most, and writing and reading have become impossible for many of us. In this workshop, you will be reading poems like those by Ilya Kaminsky, I love Kaminsky's work, and Kim Adoncio, that got your host, Serge Neptune, also known as the Little Merman poet, through the pains of post-lockdown brain fog and guide you with exercises that kept him writing. This is a chilled workshop adaptable for most levels. A PDF with materials will be sent to you ahead of the workshop, and live captioning and screen sharing will be available. Some info about your host: he is a London-based queer poet, a Faber Academy alumnus, and the creator and host of Neptune's Glitter House. His work has been published in a plethora of anthologies and magazines that you can check out using the link down in the description below. So let's have my fellow heralds back. What do you think about this workshop? And has lockdown affected your writing? I know it did to mine.
Oh, has lockdown affected? My God. Well, I mean, honestly, I used lockdown to my advantage as much as I could for like the past year or so, and I really used it to like get my poetry going in the right direction. I even like published a book. So on that side, very much gratitude that I got the time. But nowadays, oh my God, I am over this. We need to find a solution, and we need to move on and embrace life again. And hopefully everyone remembers these couple years to embrace life again. You know what I'm saying? So this workshop is coming at a perfect time for me, and I'm very personally much interested in it.
Personally, before lockdown, I was a hermit. After lockdown, I'm going to be a hermit. This is just everybody, sharing space in the Squigs world, I guess. I know we got some fellow hermits out there. I would have been on my screens anyway. Has it affected my writing? I haven't actually written specifically about the lockdown or apathy towards it, because perhaps I have apathy towards it. Yeah, I'm just getting hermit for life.
Everyone needs to know a hermit here and there. I think it's I think I've certainly become much more of a hermit. I know before Corona and before the lockdown happened, I was getting a bit socially fatigued with all the events I was going to, and I didn't appreciate at the time how much fun I was having and how much I enjoyed it. Kind of in 2019, me and some friends, we had a show up at the Edinburgh Fringe and all this really cool stuff that we were doing, and I was tired, and lockdown came along, and it was a case of, well, this is almost like a good opportunity to take a break, particularly as there's this thing we don't understand going around, doing all this damage that it's doing. And again, I hope everyone's staying safe and staying well, and I hope everyone's okay. But has it affected my writing? Absolutely it has. And it's because I'm not getting that stimulation that I was getting before. I'm not out and about so much to see things to inspire poems. I'm not in rooms of people as often to get an idea kind of firing off someone else's idea. And I can't remember quite what it's called, but I know there were some Dutch scientists a few years ago who actually did this this experiment into this, and they worked out that even just doing your routines in a slightly different order can stimulate your writing. So say if you're making your breakfast, make your coffee after you've made your cereal rather than before, or something like that. And it's changing the order of these patterns to try and stimulate. And just because I'm getting less input, my writing's really suffered as a result of that. And the quantity of it has gone absolutely through the floor.
I am with you 100% on this idea. The fact that before, like in 2019, I was feeling that my poetry has become kind of repetitive and kind of stale. So I put it in my mindset that in 2020 and moving on, I'm gonna try to distance myself from the stuff I used to write and try to experience as much as possible to try to stimulate and inspire myself to write about new things and new experiences, which obviously didn't happen. So yeah, I'm with you. And this idea about feeling exhaustion and about maybe not appreciating what we had before lockdown. I am as people, I know friends call me a social butterfly. Friends call me, I'm in Lebanon, in Arabic, we call it like, I just immediately go into people and their thoughts and just show them the most awkward side of myself so that they would feel comfortable around me and be like, yeah, this person is cool. Let's just tell him all our secrets. Am I evil? Maybe. But this idea of feeling exhaustion with all of these, I think what lockdown taught us is that there should be a balance between the two. And it's kind of forcing now, like the virus being still spreading and still going around, it's forcing us to not everything. We don't have to go to everything. If it's a crowded spot or if it's something that we might feel unsafe in, maybe we should step back and stay home or do something else. So I think what this virus and the lockdown did for us is that it kind of taught us this balance between being out there and showing ourselves and choosing times where we have to stay put and we have to relax and just enjoy the simpler things. All right, that is all for me. We will be back right after this.
Hello, I am back again. This is the less attractive version of Arsen for you. How are you? It's been a long time. But I hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes. I see you guys tapping in. India, namaste to you. Brazil, obrigado, obrigado, obrigado. I am back. I am back with a legendary showcase for you called When Poetry. When Poetry is similar in status to Nuyo, I would say, in that when you come to the United States, especially towards the New York side, When Poetry is one that people definitely tap into. They came about a lot during this, especially during this whole quarantine, in helping to highlight really important slam artists. And they even started an open mic that is, unfortunately, today's episode is not free 99, but it is legendary and legacy making. So definitely something to tap into. When Poetry is also known as Right About Now Poetry, and they have an open mic every Monday online and every Wednesday in person. So definitely come up and share your poems. And a lot of the poets that come up there go viral. A lot of the poets that come out of there have a lot of opportunities. So they have a website, rightaboutnowpoetry.com. And to get to the open mic, it's rightaboutnowpoetry.com/how do I get on the mic. The link will be below for you. And you go on and you pay $8 US to attend, and you get your moment of shining and your moment to stay on a platform that has many, many legacies on there. So I would definitely encourage everyone to try the open mic. It opens every week at 7:30 on the site called Avant Garden. And let's see, and the spots really fill up fast. So definitely jump on that as soon as possible if you'd like to get on that. Then I'm going to give you a rundown of everything else, especially the slams that WAN Poetry covers. The part that I love particularly about WAN Poetry is that they offer a write and chill session. So if you have writer's block, if you are having some trouble getting a piece going, or if you would like any kind of feedback, WAN Poetry offers you a write and chill session, which is only $5 a month, and you become a member, and you have a group of legendary poets, some names that you may even know by household, come and look at your poems and give you all the feedback you possibly could get. So definitely check them out. And then finally, the highlight of WAN Poetry, their slams. They have one at the end of each month, and it's an open sign up to participate in their worldwide poetry slam. So everybody is invited. It's an 8-poet head-to-head elimination poetry competition, and first place gets $50, second place gets $30, and whoever's in third place gets $10 a piece. So to get in the list to the slams, you just have to go to their Facebook page, which will also be down below, and click the supporter button, and you can start a free trial, $4.99 a month. And yeah, signing up for the poetry slam works the same exact way as the regular open mics. First come, first serve. So jump on that ASAP. $8 to attend the event, or you do the $5 a month subscription fee, and you get all of that plus the write and chill. And yeah, definitely come check it out. And I would like to invite the heralds to see what they think about this interesting platform and the opportunities that they are giving. Yeah,
I think there should be more platforms like that. Personally, coming up, I cut my teeth in the open mic scene. But finding a poetry reading anywhere, it's like you got to go down that alley, give 2 coins to the troll, ride that boat across the river, and then walk down a flight of stairs. It's very clandestine nature. But what I love about Poetry Slam when I discovered it is that anybody could walk off the street, here, pay a fee, but get on stage and at a bar or some public space and immediately get reaction, immediately get reciprocated for their pieces they perform. Get up on stage, get an audience. The slam is a wonderful place to share poetry, and I think poetry shouldn't have a clandestine nature necessarily. It should be as popular as I don't know, music and stuff. It's yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad for more opportunities out there. So please, all our viewers, check this out.
Absolutely, I completely agree, and I mean, if you think poetry is music, it's just that your words are the melody as well as the meaning, and that's a real skill in itself. And I think so. I love a free 99 event, but I also love investing in things that are really worth investing in, and this really sounds like something like that. Perhaps invest is the wrong word. That sounds a bit too corporate, but I think obviously you can't afford to pay for everything like that, but the amount you get for what you would be giving, it's essentially a few pounds a month. And also, I think certainly America's the home of the slam. I think New York is also the home where the poetry slam originated. And more than anything, I'd not heard of this platform before, but it just sounds like a lot of fun. I think with a poetry slam, things are very quick fire. Someone's on for a few minutes, someone else is on for a few minutes. And if you don't if you don't like someone, you'll probably like the next person. Or if you like someone, you know that hopefully they're going to be back, or you can help bring them back if you score them high enough or cheer them loud enough, or however the format works. And I think this definitely sounds like a really fun thing to check out. And it sounds like the sort of poetry slam I would love to lose in the first round in. So I would definitely be up for giving that a go.
This platform is a lot, and I'm here for it. The website itself just shows you how much this platform offers, from classes to slams to open mics to publications it has everything. And I think that's really nice to see such a professional, not that anything else is not professional, but like something that is out there, something that is visible, something that is organized in that manner, it's one platform that offers you all of this for poetry. That's something unprecedented, and I love it. I'm here for it. So thank you, Arsene, for sharing these.
Thank you, Harold, for your input again. And guys, I have to be honest with you, because I keep it real here, right? Arsene keeps it real all the time. I personally absolutely hate slam. Okay, so I'm excited about this platform for several reasons. One, this platform allows you to do the slams, and I personally want to love slams, so I like the challenge of continuing to participate in slams. And I like this platform because it allows you to give the proper preparation to do slams, right? So you get the open mic where you go and practice your pieces. You have the write and chill where you can write your pieces, get the proper coaching you need to get the pieces to where they need to be for a slam ready or a performance ready piece. Then you go to the open mic, you try the open mic, see how it's received at the open mic, get the feedback from there, and then you go on to the slam at the end of the month and you win your $50. So you see, you can't really lose here. You only get improvement. And as creators, all we always want to do is improve, right? So step up your game, check out Right About Now. I'm not saying that you're not talented. I know you're talented. That's why I want you to come and check it out if you are interested. I personally will be there. I hope to see you there. And that's what I have for you this week. We will all be back after this break with Squigs.
Good day, good morning, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, I am Squigs once again, reporting for the Poetry News. And this week I did a quick Google search for a topic that has been on my mind, as where most of us live. Poetry and mental health. In a quick search, we get an article from www.artsandmindlab.org, which goes to say that poetry can provide comfort and boost mood during periods of stress, trauma, and grief. Its powerful combination of words, metaphor, and meter helps us better express ourselves and make sense of the world and our place in it. And further down the line here, people also ask, is poetry good for depression? It's true. Poetry helps depression. Poetry has been and continues to be one of my favorite ways to cope with depression. It has also been an excellent tool for helping others understand depression, which helps to end mental health stigma. This is from an excerpt from www.healthyplace.com, how poetry helps depression and could end depression stigma. Now, also as well, I found an article here. It's actually written back in 2020 from happyful.com. 7 poems that teach us about mental health by Kat Nichols, and the article goes on to say, here we look at the way 7 writers share, reveal, and teach us about mental health through poetry. Just like artists effortlessly, more so than others, suppose, pick and mix colors on a canvas to create something beautiful, so do poets, choosing and rearranging words on a page. They give us language we didn't know we needed to describe our inner world. And in this article, we have 7 poems from the likes of Joe Camacho, Rupi Kaur. They actually also have a link to Neil Highborn OCD piece performed on at the Button Poetry there. So that's a great piece if anyone has ever seen it. And there's other great works. And in fact, actually, they have a piece by Anne Sexton, for which I will read. The piece is titled "The Fury of Rainstorms" by Anne Sexton. The rain drums down like red ants, each bouncing off my window. The ants are in great pain, and they cry out as they hit, as if their little legs were only stitched on, and their heads pasted. And oh, they bring to mind the grave, so humble, so willing to beat upon, with its awful lettering, and the body lying underneath, without an umbrella. Depression is boring. I think I would do better to make some soup and light up the cave. That was Fury of Rainstorms by Anne Sexton, and it is to be found in this article by happyful.com. 7 poems that teach us about mental health, and I would like to welcome all our viewers actually to check this out. And my herald's back. I just want to say one thing. I guess, yeah, I'm about older stock, continuing older mind, but then open to refinement. But I have this belief that, well, I guess this perspective rather. Perspectives can change. That mental health and necessarily doesn't have anything to do with poetry. Poetry itself is a tool used in mental health. Poetry had existed before the constructed concept of mental health, and I would hope continue to exist in the future. People, well, I don't know if this is like, you could extrapolate from data now, but most poetry wasn't necessarily written about mental health, but it was exploring the mind, always exploring the mind, always exploring perspectives of the world. But I'm on IG a lot, and poetry, mental health, I just want people to write about flowers again. So, my heralds, on the topic of poetry and mental health, what are your opinions?
So certainly, I think it very much depends on the person. So if writing poetry helps somebody with their mental health, then that's absolutely brilliant. And we absolutely need spaces that can encourage and support that, and places where people can put out what they've written, so those words can then help others. And I think so yes, poetry can very much help with somebody's mental health, but I think any healthy activity can help with somebody's mental health, and it's purely a case of what healthy activity is the most beneficial to you in that sense. I've got some close friends who have zero interest in poetry because nobody's perfect, and joking, people are allowed to not be interested in poetry, but I got a friend who finds walking incredibly useful. I find running incredibly useful. For some people they like to withdraw and have their own time. Some people like to go and be incredibly social. It's a very every person, it's a very individual thing, but as long as somebody has the outlet they need and the support that they need to make their mental health a little bit stronger, and certainly at the moment we absolutely need that, and so poetry is part of that. I think it's a conduit rather than the thing in itself, if that makes any sense.
You do make sense, and I do agree with Squigs on the idea that they are two separate things. We do link them. Yes, it is very interesting and important to let this to use poetry as a method to express or to heal or to that's it, to express or to heal. So it is very important to use poetry as that method, but they are still two separate things. By the way, therapy is a great way to deal with mental health. Just putting this out there. Running and walking and writing are complementary to it. Therapy is the way to deal with mental health. Sit down with a professional who knows what to do with any mental health issue. But here's the thing. The thing about poetry is now, and I think that maybe is the issue now with that. I don't want to call it an issue, but that's what Squigs maybe brought up, is that now there's like this focus or this oversaturation on poetry that deals with mental health. And the thing about it is that mental health as a content or as a topic or as a subject has always existed in poetry. It's just that poetry has existed before we got to the idea of maybe psychology or mental health. I know, for example, a study that has been done, a PhD research actually, in which PTSD, for example, has been expressed and used and spoken about in American literature before PTSD became a thing, before the name post-traumatic stress disorder became a thing dealt in the world of psychology. So if you go back to let's go back, for example, to Emily Dickinson's poetry. A lot of her poetry, for example, deals with issues. Maybe she doesn't call it my mental health or my thoughts or whatever. She calls it my soul, maybe. Still, that is an idea that is there. Does that mean that they are inseparable? No, we can write about things that are not mental health, and we can deal with mental health in a way that is not poetry. However, they are linked one way or another, but they are not the same thing, and they are not one and the other. These are my two cents on this. What do you think, Arsene?
I agree with you guys. Mental health and poetry are two separate entities. Poetry is definitely a channel to help with mental health. But then you look at people like Sylvia Plath, right? Who made a whole different genre of poetry based on her mental health without ever calling it her mental health. She called it confessionary poetry, right? And you're like, oh, but it's weird. It's weird to me. Like, I don't know how to exactly. I'm a poet, but I don't know exactly how to express what I'm trying to say. But and also don't cancel me about what I'm about to say. I'm not the biggest fan of Ruby Kaur. I think a lot of what she does is just like genetic affirmations, which are cool. I love them. Do that. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's the mental health aspect of it and people wanting to be a part of that mental health genre. They're like taking away the effect of the poetry when they do stuff like that. So I don't think that mental health and poetry have to be interchanged, but I do think that people are trying to force it to be interchanged a lot. So, and I mean, like, I'm sorry. Look, I have all of Ruby Kaur's poetry books, so I feel really bad saying it, but I've read them all, and in the end, this is the conclusion I've come to. And a lot of people like to say, "Oh, you're trying to be into like Ruby Kaur because I'm a first generation American." That's a different story. Okay, that's a different story. but like I do think that there are better examples of people who use their mental health, like Sylvia Plath, who use their mental health to create work. But to say that the work of poetry is dependent on mental health, I believe is an incorrect statement, but it does enhance the beauty of your poetry. I think that's where I was trying to go with that. God, that was long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you for explaining that. And yes, it is true that mental health considerations are Sylvia Plath and other writers have been speaking of the topic without without the tag name, without the buzzword mental health before it was there. And yeah, no, that's lovely. I want to welcome everybody else to check out this article by happyfull.com, written by, of course, Kat Nichols. This was actually back in 2020, so somewhat predating this whole lockdown thing. And speaking of mental health, I find a lot of writing online about mental health, and yeah, it's keep writing. Whatever helps, do that. Whatever helps you heal, do that. And that's my time. Thank you again. I am Squigs for Poetry News.
Before you click off to whatever YouTube video is next in your playlist. Remember, we would love to know what you think about what we've covered today. What do you think about the connection between mental health and writing poetry? What do you think about When Poetry? Have you been to the night? Are you involved in the night? Also about post-lockdown apathy as well, and poetry about settled status and poetry generally as a form of campaigning. We would love to know what you think. We read all of your comments and we would love to see them down below. And you can also get in touch with us on loads of social media, as Arsene will now say.
Yes, we would love for you to come and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the things at the Poetry Global Network. And tap in with us, comment below. We love making friends here. Let's go viral together. You're on mute, man.
Girl, you're muted.
A legendary cut.